of applause for no reason.
I love it. I love getting clapped by two men. This is lovely. Worth it.
Guitar Stories Podcast, your number one show for everything guitar.
Hello, Guitar Geeks. This is Dan.
Hey everybody, this is Andy, and we're joined today by the lovely
Angel Vivaldi. Hello, everyone.
Hey.
Oh my goodness, I can't believe we're on a podcast with Angel Vivaldi.
Does it smell bad in here now? I feel like it smells bad in here now.
I have a certain nervousness to my approach this time.
You have a certain nervousness.
Like, yeah, like
Why
we
is
had Yvette Young last week, and it kind of went way off the rails. But we went for about 40 minutes before it went way off the rails, and we've been off the rails since before we started recording.
Yep.
And dear listener, I'm not even going to apologize, but beware.
Brace yourselves.
Where would you start?
So a little bit of background. I'm in Austria. Dan, you're in Germany. Angel, where are you right now?
I am currently in New Jersey, in the United States of America. I know, everyone's eyebrows just were like, whoa, he's there.
He's there.
Yes.
Patient zero, no.
Yep.
Are you doing fine?
I'm doing great. You know, all things considered, truthfully speaking, my life hasn't changed too much because I am very much a homebody. The only thing that really changed for me is I can't go to the gym. But aside from that, you know, I mean, everything's okay. You know, obviously, I can't say this the same for some friends and family who obviously, you know, either got COVID or they're trying to like dodge it, like the plague, so to speak. So, you know, and I'm very, very close to New York City as well. So, you know, it definitely is a little bit nerve-wracking, but, you know, I'm pretty well informed. Like, I'm the kind of person that will spend 3 hours reading a scientific study. And the reason why it will take me 3 hours is because there's so many medical terms and stuff that take me, you know, to a different pace so I could understand what that means, you know. So for the past, I'd say, you know, the first 4 to 5 weeks of this, I just spent my time really just like educating people and sending texts and just letting people know, because my hometown, unfortunately, you know, it's getting hit pretty bad out of all the cities in New Jersey. Mostly because, I mean, like, and this is, you know, I grew up there, so I know it on a very deep level. It's not the most educated city. It's very, you know, it's pretty, it's like a low income kind of like, it's ghetto as hell, you know. So it really has been battering that city quite a bit, because these are people, you know, they're not the most educated, so they let fear just kind of get to them. And there were all these viral text messages going around like, oh, helicopters are going to fly over the city at 11:30 p.m., you know, kind of stuff. And I'm having people forward me these messages just so I can tell people, like, no, that's not true. No, this isn't true. Or, you know, no, the lemon water is not going to save your life. No, putting a blow dryer in front of your nose is not going to save your life, kind of stuff. You know, so it was honestly really exhausting. I was kind of like mentally unraveling at the seams. So I had to take a little bit of a break from it. But once I was able to put myself in a situation where I was just like, all right, you know, I'm blessed to be in a position where, you know, I don't have to leave. You know, I'm going to take the optional responsibility to continue doing what I'm doing. So, but overall, I've been really blessed to actually say that I'm doing quite well.
That's awesome. That's good. And I have to ask, where are you getting your hair cut? Because you still look amazing.
Oh my goodness, I rolled out of bed. Are you kidding me? You're just saying that. You're just saying that. He's gonna be like, he's probably like, damn, this guy. Oh my God, to use Gia's hair, he looks so much better at him.
It's hippie, man.
Thank you.
Andy, you promised more.
Promises.
Yeah. So you may
we gotta tell the listeners that these guys, they spoke to each other in advance, and they are both wearing black shirts, whereas I'm wearing a white shirt.
Yes.
Come on, guys.
We have the color coordinated. We just wanted to make you look like a fool. That's all it is.
Yeah.
Do you feel the love?
I hear you.
Good.
Absolutely.
Good.
From the very beginning.
Good. And to the very end.
Angel's glasses are bigger than mine, though, so I'm slightly disappointed on my glasses choice.
Well, the only reason why I have these
Get
glasses
some bigger frames.
is just it's like the bigger distraction I have in my face, the more attractive I look. So that's the only. This is an illusion, bitch. I got LASIK. These are like 50-cent glasses, 50 cents. Okay, like this is just a I'm glad that this. Thank you so much. Just so happy.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
So Dan is the kind of guy that does his homework. So I want to know what Dan has learned about Angel in the past week.
Oh my God! Hold on.
That we were getting together.
Let me lay down before this happens.
So lay down, strap yourself in.
Oh God.
Dan, what have you learned? What since I said that we'd have Angel on the podcast? You are kind of Mr. Google, Mr. Stats, Mr. Specifications.
Oh Lord, he knows my blood type. Did you talk to my exes? Oh, salty bunch of lads they are.
I did the whole scan.
Oh, my condolences.
From the very beginning. Yeah. No, just kidding. Actually, we just figured out that we're all three Geminis. Yes. Like born June 10th, June 13th, and myself June 14th.
How crazy is that?
Hell yeah. Yeah.
Hell.
Even funnier, last week it was the same thing because Yvette also was born in June.
Yes.
There you go.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But she was a throwback. She was a Leo. No, Cancer, right?
Yeah,
she's right. A little bit
but
after.
Still June. But children of June. That's
I love that. So for your third podcast, you have to have Steve Vai and keep the whole Gemini thing going on.
There you go.
Yeah.
Andy, we've got no other choice.
Oh, I'm not going to say that I would. So Angel and I met at NAMM this year, Winter NAMM, which currently is the only NAMM of 2020. And Angel and I were talking about his signature guitar with Charvel, Nova.
Yep.
And it's now available in Sage Green, which I think is a stunning addition to... Well, you've now got two. So what's the original color called?
So the original...
Sage Green and...
so the original was a Sage Green. Now it's in Satin Black.
Satin Black.
To match us.
That's it.
Ooh.
Yes. And I have not plugged into an amp, but I have touched the guitar and been near Angel whilst touching the guitar. And it's lovely. It's one of those bling guitars that it's very much you, Angel. It's the more you play it, the more you love it, and it's striking, but not in a sort of over the top way.
I would agree, and I think especially with having it in black now, because I mean, listen, if you told 16-year-old me that I would have a green signature guitar, I'd be like, yeah, can we curse on there, or is this like a PG thing?
Go for it.
Oh man, I'd be like, get the fuck out of here. There's no way in hell, But being that it's a little bit more muted of a sage green, it's just like luxurious. It's like eating a whole bag of Skittles with no chaser, Whereas the black, it's a lot more classy. It's a very classy type of subdued, low-key luxury kind of looking guitar, which for certain people is a little bit more appropriate. And for myself as well, we're all Geminis. We have our extroverted side and we have our introverted side, so I feel like it's a nice balance of me, and I feel like a lot of people, I mean, I'm seeing all the pictures of, because everyone's receiving their orders now for the black. My God, so many people got that guitar, and it makes me feel so good because, originally, like, the fans voted on the color, which was the first time ever in, like, Fender history that they did something like that. Because they sent me like 5 or 6 mock-ups of like ivory and navy blue, and they all looked exquisite. They all looked gorgeous, and I was like, guys, I want the guitar to be successful, and I want people to, not be intimidated to getting it. So like, why don't we just get the fans to, vote on it? It's a win-win. We get to sell a number of guitars that they want, and they get what they want, and I'm happy with all of them. I don't care, as long as it has the gold, I don't care. And the green surprisingly did extremely well. Like when I got the first quarter's numbers, I was like, it blew me away. And now the black is just it's great, man. I'm glad that people are happy with it.
Yeah, I think I prefer the black over the sage green. It very much appeals to me.
Good.
It's just, and I'm not a lover of gold hardware. At most times, it always feels a bit sort of gaudy, a bit gauche.
Absolutely.
But on that black, and there's many different types of gold hardware, and you've nailed it. It doesn't look Doesn't look cheap and nasty.
Yeah, yeah. Well, hopefully, if you don't have like acid hands, it'll stay that way. But I'm not a toxic bitch, so it's fine for me.
I've heard differently.
What have you heard? Who did you speak to?
Actually, to me, it looks like the bad brother of the Jam.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, I could see that totally, 100%. Because I mean, like growing up for me, seeing that white and gold guitar, like that was just, oh my God. I mean, you want to talk about decadence. That was it. That was it. And white against gold, like, oh man, they did an ivory against gold. That was one of the mock-ups, and I was just sitting there like, oh man, what a beautiful combination. But yeah, but I can see that.
I would love to see you and Steve Vai on stage or in a video, you playing the devil to his angel.
Ooh.
Or possibly even playing each other's guitars. That with the new Pia and the Nova in black, that's an interesting thing that should definitely happen.
That would be very interesting. And it's funny, I'll say this in the podcast once because there was an interview I did a number of years ago. And for me, like my influences, like if I were to like sum them all up, would be Kurt Cobain because he made me pick up a guitar, Kirk Hammett because he made me play leads. Then it got to Eric Johnson, Yngwie, Satch, Satriani, Alex Skolnick, Alexi Leo. That's literally, me. And someone in an interview, they said, oh, we just watched your show and, you're just like, you're very, you have a lot of energy, like you're very engaging and stuff like that. And he goes, there's a lot of parallels to like how Steve Vai performs. And without batting an eye, I didn't really think about it. I just spit it out, and I was just like, oh. And then he's like, oh, so where's the influence? Like, is there a parallel between you and Steve Vai? I was like, well, I'm gay. I don't know what his reason is. Oh my God, I like broke a sweat after I said that. But obviously it's all in fun because he's one of the most, like when I go to a rock show, I go to be entertained. I want to see Vai. I want to see Malmsteen. I want to see David Lee Roth. I want to see Iron Maiden. I don't want to see a dress rehearsal, because I can do that on YouTube, and that's not engaging to me. But I feel like every artist has their own priorities. Like, some people, their priority is to play 100% clean, and play it to the record, which I respect. That's perfect. But if I want to hear, it perfect, I'll listen to the record. I want something that's for me, and that's why I love Frank Zappa. Frank Zappa was, and still is, a huge influence in that respect, where he loves improvisation, and I look at it the same way. It's a gift to that audience that no one is ever going to have, And I think that's really special, as opposed to just like copy and pasting every single night and just, I mean, don't get me wrong, I run a tight ship as far as the show's concerned, but, there's always that little bit of unpredictability, and I love that.
Yeah, I feel exactly the same. Like you mentioned about Kurt Cobain, and I'm massively into feedback in guitar, and abusing the guitar. So it's really like smashing, not smashing like destroying, but actually hitting the guitar and feeling that wood come to life, and getting feedback in a sense that you can't recreate that.
Yeah.
So and there's in Nirvana Unplugged Live in New York, which was one of my biggest influences. And also the same with No Woman, No Cry by Bob Marley.
Yeah.
There's certain parts in the recording where there's feedback. And I just think that adds so much to the performance that you wouldn't get in a studio because it's kind of undesirable.
It makes it live. It makes it real. It makes it human,
Yeah.
And there's, and I get, and, I understand, especially when it comes to like, I think, mechanical playing and shredders and virtuosos, there's this whole thing of, precision. And I think that, there's so much precision in what we do that we can afford a little bit of humanity in that respect. So I 100% agree with that.
I never actually saw Steve Vai as I see him as such a perfect guitar player that I didn't realize till a few years ago that his show, I'd never seen him live, and his show is so live as opposed to just a technical playthrough of his records.
Yeah.
And I guess teenage me would be really confused at the music I listen to these days because I was only listening to Nirvana back then, and he's the reason I picked up a guitar.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's very strange the way a guitar career changes.
Yeah, for sure. I agree. You know, the thing that I can, because I'm very self-aware. Like I know exactly what it was that I took from each artist in particular. Like, you know, with Kurt, like he just taught me how to write a song, man. You know, taught me how to write a song and to and you know, because there's such a loss of the ego with the vibe of what Nirvana was about, that, and that's the foundation of my musical energy, is that, you know. So, you know, being in the position where I'm at now, it, like, having that foundation really teaches me to keep my shit together, you know. Like, we all have egos. Like, I know my ego very well. I invite that bitch to tea every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 3 p.m. I embrace him in the four walls of my home. The only time I bring it out there is when I want to make people laugh and I can poke fun at it, you know. Aside from that, I do not make it anyone's problem, you know, especially on tour when you're trying to interact with other egos and stuff like that. It's, you know, it can be very, very troublesome, especially, you know, in the industry that I'm in. I'm a guitar instrumentalist, you know. There's so many that are just like swinging their dicks in a china shop, woof, woof, especially at NAMM. Jesus Christ, I have to wear like a football helmet and a fucking shoulder pad just so I can like deal with the bashings at some of these parties. Like, Jesus Christ, fucking sedate me, you know. But that's the thing. I feel like that core was really from Nirvana, you know, just taught me to just do my thing, do it as well as I can, and just don't give a fuck about anything else of what anyone else is thinking about. Just really stick to your guns. And I'm really grateful for that.
That's awesome. So you've worked with a few people that we've met before. So you've worked with Yvette Young most recently, I guess. And we were talking to her last week.
Yeah.
And we had so much fun with Yvette.
Oh, yeah.
And
impossible not to.
I can see how you guys... Yeah, she stuck around for hours, and then we had to kind of get rid of her.
That must have been the most...
And I don't think anybody wanted it to end. Yeah, nobody wanted it to end, and nobody really wanted to stop the fun. It's like, has anyone really got time for a 5-hour podcast?
Yeah. You know, it's funny you say 5 hours, because I don't go live often, like the live streams and stuff, but I think every 2 to 3 months. But when I do, literally, I'm on there for like 5 to like, sometimes I've done like 7-hour streams, you know, because it's just this whole exchange of energy. It's like playing live. It's like this whole exchange of energy. You see the comments, you see people like responding to things, and things are so spur of the moment. And it's like, it's such a, again, it's just like candid. It's human, and it's just, you know, I think all three of us, we have the same energy where like we feel most alive when we're connecting to people, you know. And connection like that is rare too, you know, having like minds and stuff like that. You know, it's a rare thing. So we just never want it to end. We just want to hold on to it.
Yeah, that's what I'm missing most at the moment, and being with Dan and being with a third person, a guest, is really honestly helping me get through this lockdown period, which is quite honestly depressing the hell out of me. Because I'm a people person. I need to be around people.
Yeah.
I need to exchange energies, and I wither without it.
Yeah.
And meeting you actually at NAMM was one of, this is going to sound so sycophantic, one of my favorite moments, mainly because we didn't know what was going to happen.
That's so true. I totally understand. Like, yeah.
Because the camera guy, Arunas, was there. Like he was awesome doing his job, but I know him well enough to know that he was nervous because we did Satchel the year before, and that went completely way off track straight away. There was nothing,
was so good,
nothing there. But with Satchel, there was a kind of limitation in the sense that he is a character, and it's going to be within a certain limit. You know, sort of, we know it's going to be hair metal, we know it's going to be drugs and sex and rock and roll. But with you, I had no idea.
Yeah.
And it was such a gift for me to just walk into a room and not know what's going to happen, because doing what I do, often I lead the conversation, you know, as an interviewer, and I just love, like, here, you hold this, you do this, there's the control, you take it, and then you throw it back to me, and we just mess around. And I'm only comfortable doing stuff. That's the second thing I've done for Charvel and Fender in that sense. When Helen from Fender Special Brands is nervous and worried in the background, then I know that I'm having a good time.
Yeah, you know, that's very well said, very well. I adore that woman so much. She's such a good energy. But that's the thing, you know, and I often say when you're relating to people, it's like, you know, for example, like your blue and my yellow make a gorgeous, gorgeous green. You know, from the second I met you, honestly, you know, it was almost like we've known each other for a while. It was very loose. I remember we were going down the escalator at NAMM, and I was just like lifting my leg up, and I ripped my pants with those gorgeous, you know, just like little things like that, you know. And you can kind of feel that off the bat, you know. So for me, when I sense that there's a beautiful color being made, like I don't hold back. I floor it because, you know, I don't want to waste time into, you know, microdosing people, and you know, I just want to just like have the best time possible, and like right from the get-go, you know, just so that there's more memories to be held on to 5-10 years down the line, you know. But again, that's so it's rare, you know, especially if you're very self-aware. Like I know, like my yellow is a little bit more like you know, I think every artist is a very particular color. Like mine's a little bit more like yellow goldish, you know, and yours is a little bit more cerulean bluish, you know. So like when you combine them, it makes a nice like, you know, like not like maybe like a little bit more along the lines of like a hunter greenish teal that would look gorgeous against that Nova, just letting you know. Like that Lucerne aqua fire mist color, like, oh my God, Jesus Christ. But that's the thing, you know, and then other artists, and I feel like this is, and it goes with relationships, it goes with friendships. I feel like really it's when you bring out the best in each other, but then there's situations, you know, in my experience with other musicians in particular, where like their red is like a certain red and my yellow is a certain yellow, and they come together and make a shit orange, man. And, you know, whether it's, here's the thing, so like, you know, again, I am very sensitive to like vibes and in my environment, and I could tell when the air is even like a pubic hair slight thicker than it should be. And you know, there's an awareness of like, okay, so how am I going to navigate this? You know, let's say for instance on tour, how am I going to navigate this for 30 days? You know, so then it's someone's responsibility to kind of shift their yellow a little bit more to complement what's happening here, you know. And typically it's going to be one person. It's very rare that two people are going to do the work together, you know, so it's just what it is. It's like a relationship. One person's a little bit more invested than the other, 99% of the time. But, you know, you have to be honest with these situations. And I think that, you know, it gives you a lot of insight as to how to navigate your, the inevitable conflict that you may arise. Because listen, artists are quirky people, man. You know, you have to really, and you don't know what someone's struggle was. You don't know what their current struggle is. We all have our things, you know. So it's like that situation where, like, if someone cuts me off on the highway, like, I'm not gonna go and like, fuck you, you know. Like, maybe that person really needs to take a shit. Maybe they have a pregnant woman in the back that is like, you know, like she's just, you know, gushing out all of her water or something like that. I don't know what their situation is. You know, but I know what my situation is, and I know my capacity to just be a chameleon to certain situations. And it's not a matter of, you know, being fake. It's just a matter about, you know, I guess taking advantage of all the aspects of my personal personality because I know myself better, and just making the best out of a situation that may not be as desirable as we wanted to.
It's really reading the room, reading the situation, and not changing oneself, but certainly being sensitive to other people's emotions.
Absolutely. Even if they're not sensitive to yours, that's fine.
No. But I do flip people off when I'm driving, just so you know. It's one of my favorite things to do.
You know what I love doing? You know, I do the opposite. When I pass them by, I blow them a little kiss. Just because, like, that is, like, the thing. Like, it's so much worse than flipping someone off, you know? Like, for real. Like, I've seen people, like, turn into the Hulk, man. Like, I'll just, like, floor it. I'll be like, mwah. And I'll give them a little wave like that, like with my shoulder to my chin, you know, like this. Oh, it's hilarious. Their eyes just turn into fire. Oh, it's fucking great.
I have to ask. Sorry.
People just might be confused because you're dragging a strap body behind you.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh yeah, yeah. I have to ask, what does Angel Vivaldi drive?
I bought my dream car, a poorly timed timing, but I drive a Tesla.
Nice.
Hey, congrats.
Which one?
Model 3.
Which Model 3? It's very popular right now.
Yeah.
It's something that, if I were in a better situation, I would be purchasing right
Yeah,
now.
like 80%, because I'm a big environmentalist, so 80% of the reason for purchasing, you know, this car in particular was because it's, you know, is for the environment, and 20% is because it's a fucking gorgeous car. So I'm quite happy with it. Yeah. Not that I literally, I got it. So the week that we're going into lockdown was when I got it. And I called the dealership and I was like, guys, can we just like wait, to see when this blows over? And they were, my lav, did it just fall? It's because I'm sweating. You guys are making me moist. So it just like literally fell into my crotch. So you're gonna hear a little boop in the audio. My bad. I apologize. Yeah. So when I went to pick up this car, holy shit, I looked like a stealth Sub-Zero. I had like my mask on from day one because I know what's up. I had my black gloves because I had a little cut on my hand, and your skin will help you as long as it's healthy. And I had like a long black trench coat, my black jeans, my black shirt. I looked gorgeous. But I scared the hell out of everyone at the dealership. They were like, "What the fuck?" But yeah, I've driven it twice in the past 6 weeks. But because it's not fun, just to go on a ride for no reason. Like I need a destination. So, but it's fine. It's not going anywhere. It's nice looking at it through my driveway. My problems, guys. My problems.
So, how long have you been waiting on the Tesla? Was there like a waiting list, and you had to wait like 6 months, 12 months?
Yeah, I had to wait. It was about 5 weeks actually. It wasn't too long. Oh. So, and luckily when I searched the VIN, because I was nervous initially because some of the Model 3s are made in China, some are made in California, and this one was made in California. So I was like, oh, okay, that's a little bit less nerve-wracking. But yeah, it's just 5 weeks. It wasn't that bad.
Cool. It still seems like a fantasy, like a Tesla car. Like it seems like the Cybertrucks like pushes all my buttons.
Yeah, in a good way or a bad way?
Oh, absolutely in a good way. Like it's so good that I almost want them to remake Back to the Future to include that car.
I get it.
Like they should. That's one of my favorite films of all time. It's also another reason I play guitar. Probably one of my earlier reasons that I was like, okay, that's cool. I want to do that. What Marty McFly does.
Okay, yeah.
And then you should never touch it. It's an almost perfect movie in its imperfections. But if they announced they were going to remake it, and I'd be like, oh, this is bullshit. But then. And the car's going to be a Cybertruck. I'm like, hell yes!
Oh, dude, that would trigger the entire world. I'm glad that you would find joy in that.
I would. It would be awful, but I'd still enjoy that.
No, for sure. The funny thing is, like when I was putting the order in, I thought about it just to be an obnoxious motherfucker. I was just like, man, I would be the one guy in my county with this fucking monstrosity of a car. But I was just like. And it's not that expensive. I mean, considering what you're getting, honestly. The same thing with the Model 3, which is incredible. And I think that's such a beautiful optional responsibility for Tesla to take on because, to make it affordable for people. Because, I can't afford like a Model S. If I did, I'd be like, dragging my broken leg everywhere I go because I'd just be hurting so bad. But the fact that they're making them so, overall affordable, that's the other thing too with the Charvel, man. I mean, like, my God, you want to talk about running a parallel. I grew up poor as hell, dude. Poor as hell. Like, I was homeless for 2 years. And, having a guitar that's affordable is like, it was paramount to me. I fought for it a lot. We went back and forth with Charvel so much. I was like, $1,500 is the max I would pay for any piece of gear in general. Guitar, amp, anything. And, they did better when it was first released. It was $11.99. And when they sent me that email, I legitimately, I cried, man. That was just, like, such a beautiful thing to because Peter Witchers is, like, an amazing, like, sourcing. He is just brilliant at it. And he was able to source everything to a way that it was very cost-effective for, people to actually afford. So yeah, like having things that are affordable is really important to me.
And could you take us on a little tour on how the whole like signature guitar came together? Like from the moment when Charvel signalized that they wanted to produce a signature guitar for you, then from checking different prototypes, specking out the model with all of its details, pickups, etc., until like the final prototype that got approval from you reached out.
Of course, absolutely. So the funny thing was, I was with Ibanez for about 8 years, great 8 years. And what wound up happening was I had left, but I didn't know where I wanted to go. But it's like when sharks are around, they smell blood in the water. So I started getting emails left and right from all these companies and stuff, and I was just kind of like, it's like I'm very much a victim of like imposter syndrome. Like you don't think you're that big of a deal or anything like that. I think we all kind of feel that way to some extent, and if we don't, we kind of should to humble our asses. But I digress.
Hell yeah.
So I got these emails, and then I got one from Jackson Charvel, and they're like, hey, are you interested? And I was like, yeah, sure, absolutely. So they sent me 2 Jacksons, which that would be more of a because I'm a progressive guitar player, that would be more fitting. And they also sent me a Charvel 6-string just for shits and giggles. And they sent me a Jackson Soloist. My God, the neck was so flat and fast. I was like, yo, this is amazing. And I thought Ibanez necks were the thinnest. No. This Jackson neck was just the Lamborghini, man. It was fast as hell. But there was some other things that I was like, maybe this, I don't know. But then I picked up that Charvel, and it's a 6-string, and I'm a 7-string player. And I couldn't put the little fucker down. I was playing that guitar all the time. And Mike Tempesta, like, he even asked me, he's like, hey, what do you think of Charvel? And I was kind of like, I don't know. But man, I fell in love with that guitar. And then I thought of their roster, like, they have Gojira, man. Oh, they got Gojira. Oh, they have Joe. Okay. Then, of course, they have Guthrie, and I was like, oh, that's cool, too. And then I started giving it more thought, and I thought about it, like, and it wasn't like they didn't offer me a signature at first, or anything like that. In my head, I was like, I'm going to earn it. In 2 years, I'm going to earn it. And, I think we had posted, I told them the things that I would want. They built me a custom in like 4 weeks. It was insane. Built it for me really quick. And I did a video called Dopamine off of my album Synapse. And when I released it, the internet just like their minds blew that I had left Ibanez. Because that's kind of like, not that I had been with Ibanez that long, but that's like, Malmsteen leaving Fender, or like Steve Vai leaving Ibanez. Like I was so my brand was so tightly woven with Ibanez that it was a shock, especially Charvel. But there was a reason why, because I didn't want to be predictable. I didn't want to go to Kiesel. I didn't want to go to ESP. I didn't want to go to Jackson. Charvel has this thing with versatility, and granted, I have like my progressive songs, but I also have my ballads. I have my songs that are very ambient, and I genre hop all the time. And I felt like from that respect alone, and I'm a little old school, I'm a little new school, it was perfect. And I often thought, I was like, there's times, as a business person, because I'm it's just a one-man show here. I don't have a label. I thought about it. I was like, you know what, man? No one gave a fuck about Ernie Ball until John Petrucci left and he joined Ernie Ball. I want to do the same thing for Charvel. I'm going to do the same thing for Charvel. So we posted the initial photo on their they did on their Instagram, and like John Mayer like that, like everyone was like, what the fuck is this? What is this? A 7-string reverse head? Like, so they kind of saw the response overall, and like not long after they were like, would you be interested in a signature? And I was just like, I remember the day, man, like my heart fell into my asshole. I broke a sweat because, I didn't want people to think I left because of a signature. It's not that at all, That was, again, like I figured 2 years down the line. So they did the first prototype. All things considered, how fast they built it, they got pretty close. But the neck, you can't make a 6-string version of a 7-string guitar and vice versa. You can't do that. That's what I learned the hard way. They are their own thing. I got the neck, and I told them, I was like, oh, I want a 7-string version of this neck. It was as thick as my thigh, and let me tell you, I got some thick-ass thighs, okay? Like, wielding that guitar was like a 5-year-old wielding a greatsword. I was kind of like, But I took it to Europe. We did a tour. I did a tour with Andy James, and held up beautifully. But that was a mahogany guitar with the maple neck, so it wasn't too different. But second prototype, I wanted to educate myself a little bit more. And I went for all different specs. We did basswood body, maple top, flame maple top, because I always heard about this, oh my God, amazing tone wood combination. That's like the golden combination of basswood and maple, which is just fucking bullshit. I mean, it sounded great, don't get me wrong, but you know, it's all like urban legend things. But it did sound great, and we extended the bottom heel just because I wanted to get my big stretches without something stabbing the top of my hand. You know, the neck profile there was two things I was a pain in the ass about, and that was the neck profile and the bridge. So we went through maybe 4 different bridges until I settled on the Goto 5-10-7. Because it's a 7, you know, first of all, I got tired of the double locking Floyds. I'm done. I am sick of it. I've been playing them since day one. Over it. And considering that the market right now is with the Goto 510s, you know, they're on all the SIRs, they're on all the, you know, the Charvel DKs, I was like, this is the bee's knees here, you know. Would they make me a 7? So they made me a 7 for this model. And it's perfect. It's absolutely exquisite. Then with the neck, you know, the second prototype was pretty close, you know, because I wanted it comfortable for rhythm and lead because, you know, contrary to popular belief, I am a rhythm guitarist first and primarily before anything. The way that I say it is like this, man. When you're writing a song, the song itself is the meat and potatoes, okay? The leads, the vocals, that's just the seasoning that makes a signature to you, you know? A plate of seasonings is nothing. It's not going to satiate you, you know what I'm saying? But I mean, I could live on meat and potatoes for the rest of my life without any seasoning, and I'll be all right, you know? All of us would be. So, you know, having it comfortable for rhythm was like so superiorly important to me. And they nailed it, man. They nailed it with that second prototype. So then with the final prototype, it wasn't too far off, you know. Obviously, the second prototype, if you've seen the Flame Maple, that's like eating 5 bags of Skittles with no chaser, and then just like having Skittles in an IV, just like seeping slowly into your veins, because it is the most luxurious guitar I feel like Charvel has ever built in from day one up until now. And I could objectively say that because I just gave them the specs and they built that shit, you know? And Joe Williams just went apeshit on it. So, but yeah, man, it's like, you know, honestly, like out of all the guitars, like I have, you know, 2 custom shops. I only play the signature model that you get off the wall. That is I play it 99% of the time. It's a shame that, you know, I have like these $5,000 custom shots. I don't play them, you know? So it really does speak volumes just to the specs alone. So very long answer to a short question.
Yeah, but it's super interesting too. What I find remarkable is that you stick with the DiMarzio Air Norton tone zone pickups, which is kind of like a prototypical combination for rock and kind of shreddy.
Yeah, because especially in basswood. So I've been with DiMarzio for about a decade now. My goodness, I'm showing my age. And you know, I tried the illuminators in there. So the first prototype had the illuminators in the mahogany, which sounds great for rhythm. I love it. Then the second prototype, we did Air Norton tone zone, and it sounded so good in the basswood. I was like, this is it. So then I tried it again here, and I also tried the deactivators, which I have like 5 or 6 sets, I think, that I tried. Tried the Evo 7s. It didn't sound too good in my opinion. And I went back to the Air Norton tone zone, and I was like, man, this is it, you know. And I'm very meticulous, you know. I had all my tracks, you know, track them, you know, with the amp, with the mic, with the cab, old school. Then I used the cab clone for 99% of my leads all the time. So I tried both, and I A and B'd everything. I saw how it, you know, sat in a mix. And Air Norton tone zone, man, there's something about that combination that's just classic, timeless, and just, oh man, just like, it's so good. So good.
So when you were testing, what's your test rig? So you're changing pickups or experimenting with pickups. What's the rest of the setup? So
I'm religious about my Mark Series Boogie amps. I'm religious about Mesa Boogie amps. I have 3 JP2Cs because I'm nuts. You know, I love the Seat Plus sound. I can't say enough about it. You know, and initially when I got the amps, they fought me a little bit because there's like, you know, very much the analogy of like a 5-year-old wielding a greatsword, because they are unforgiving. If you don't have your shit together, man, that amp's gonna let you know, and it's gonna let you know loudly. So you know, after that, and I also have a Mark V as well that I use primarily for rhythms, because they have the sliders and the knobs. So I actually prefer the knobs because it's very along the lines like the PD6505 with the resonance and the presence. It has those on the Mark V, and if I'm being greedy, I know the Mark II is literally the most perfect thing because it has a separate EQs, which I always wanted. It has a push-pull on the gain and the presence, which I always wanted, and it has an extra gain stage in the shred, so if you're playing low-tuned guitars, it tightens it up. But if I were to have one other feature, oh my god, I can't believe I'm even saying this because it's so perfect, would be to give me the knobs on in addition to the sliders. But because it's a nice summary, you know, you can get kind of tweaky with the tone, and it gives you a nice summary of different parameters. So what I'm doing is I'm running the JP2C 4-cable method with my Axe FX. So 95% of the tone is the boogie. My signal chain on the Axe FX is very simple. It's just a gate, a drive, but the drive, literally the distortion's on 0. I just use it to color the tone just a little bit, and my delays and my reverbs, and that's pretty much it. Now what I'm doing is I'm using the built-in cab clone. So all of my leads that you hear are all cab clone. All of them. Guest solos, my leads on Synapse, everything's cab clone. And it goes straight into a Focusrite Scarlett 6i6. And that's it. I honestly prefer the cab clone. I love the way it responds. It's warm, it's controlled, it's a nice clean signal path. You don't have, you know, because you can go apeshit between all the, you know, parameters and gates and overdrives and delays, and then you want to talk about the cabs and the speakers, then you talk about the room and how it's treated, then the mic and how it's treated. Fuck that, dude. I ain't got time for that shit. I spend enough time with this, you know? So I just want the raw sound of the amp itself with the effects, and it's just exquisite, man. Like, I've actually done, and this was a huge compliment coming from someone I respect, like, beyond. So Jason Sukoff, you know, he's responsible for, like, you know, Trivium and All That Remains and stuff like that, plus countless others. He's one of my best friends, and I did a guest solo for the band Carnifex, and you know, I sent him my lead as I always do it, and he literally said, he's just like, one of the first times I dropped the solo in the mix, and I didn't even have to do post EQ. That's it. It's the raw, and this is for like a worldwide release, a label release, and I was just like, wow, man, thank you. That is so validating because, you know, I spend so much time on my tone. And it's also self-awareness with the fingers. You have to be very self-aware of your finger tone. I know my finger tone very well, so I know how to compensate for what it lacks in my amp, you know? And I think that a lot of people overlook that.
So what is finger tone? Finger
tone. So it's something that you can't escape. It's kind of like being gay. Can't escape it. You are who you are, right? So your finger tone is like, you know, no matter if I'm playing like a Randall or a Marshall or a Line 6, you're going to sound like yourself. You know, if you listen to Michelangelo Badio, he played Randalls back in the day. Now he's playing Salty. Like, no matter what, it still sounds like him. It's just kind of like, it's like a photo, you know? The photo is still going to be a picture of me next to a tree. It's just filters over that photo, right? That's really all it is. You just have to choose a filter that makes you that makes you look flattering and makes you sound flattering, that really projects the essence of what you are. That's all an amp is. That's all gear is, you know? Like, I played through like a little Black Star, like, you know, like the little baby ones. Dude, I would tour with that thing. Fuck it. It's still me, you know? It still responds the way that I want it to respond. And, you know, granted, like, my rig's like, you know, what is it, like, fucking like $6,000 rig? And that thing's like $60. But it doesn't matter because you can't escape yourself, you know?
Mm-hmm. That's a beautiful way of putting it. I like the filter analogy.
Yeah.
I'm so stealing that.
Good. Steal it.
We're going to cut that bit out, Dan, just so I can note that down as an Andy Ferris song.
Bitch, I'll send you an invoice.
Your character, Nova,
yes.
floored me. And I thought, because I love words and I love funny words and I love playing with words. And then Miss Gina, first name Nova?
Yes.
So Nova Gina. That's the first time I've said it out loud. Amazing fun. And I was going to say amazing marketing, but it's not marketing. It's fun that you're having. And I can truly, not that we know each other very well, but I could truly buy into what you'd done there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get
so
it. Yeah.
Having you Angel and you Nova. I don't know. What was the inspiration behind it? Why did you have so much fun with that stuff?
Well, I guess it's a little bit of both. From a marketing standpoint, because I love artists who put thought into everything. That's the reason why I do the concept records that I do. Is the reason why everything you see me do it's very well thought out, I think. And when it came time for the Stealth Nova, again, I thought about this duality of my introvert extroverted side, and there's a side of me that's masculine, and a side of me that's feminine as well. There's a balance, and and in 2014, I came out to my audience as like an openly gay man, and I never did that beforehand because I didn't want to earn my success by being a fucking gimmick, like, oh, he's the gay shredder. Fuck that, dude. I want to earn it because I write music that people relate to, and I want to earn my success by merit. And but in 2014 there was a thing that U-Rock Foundation, they were doing a campaign of I matter because, and Corey Taylor was doing it, Lamb of God, like all these famous people were doing it, and they asked me to do one as well. And I printed it out, and I was like, I matter because I'm openly gay, in the metal scene, which is relatively not really, there's not many of us. I'm not the only one. But I guess in the guitar community, I guess I'm probably one of the only ones, aside from maybe like Paul Masvidal. But even he's like pretty low key about it. But in any case, I feel like, being myself, I feel like, the kind of person you are really influences how people enjoy your music. If you're an asshole, it's really easy for cancel culture is alive and thriving. They have no problem canceling you. So I just always very much been myself, and part of being myself is constantly thinking. And when it came time to do the ad campaigns for Charvel, I was thinking, I was like, all right, so I have this gorgeous black and gold guitar, I have this gorgeous Sage, what campaign images do I want to do? And the whole thing about it was versatility. So first thing that came up was don't assume my genre, and I thought about that, don't assume my genre, and that kind of coupled into like, don't assume my gender. I was like, oh man, there's a lot of puns here. Let's go with this, I was a little nervous, because Fender's very corporate and very, whatever. And I was going to do it anyway. They didn't pay for it, I did. So, and it just kind of like spiraled out of control. It took a couple months. It wasn't like an overnight thing. The ideas were in place, but the more I kind of went through with the process, and just styling everything and thinking about how I wanted to do it, the bigger the idea got. But the thing with the drag and doing it in drag, like, to be completely honest, like, when they put that wig on me, I was mortified, man. I was mortified because I wasn't myself, and I really understood in a visceral sense how I see femininity as a weakness. And I didn't really realize that. You'd think, like a gay man would be no, not at all. Listen, I grew up in a house full of Marines. You know what I'm saying? Like, so, and I play metal, so like, if I were to, I guess, give a ratio of like, my masculine feminine, I would say like 70-30, but I didn't realize that I was that uncomfortable, and I was internally, like I said, mortified. I was so awkward, like, and it took a little bit to kind of get into the groove of embracing what I was doing, because listen, I was like, I internally had to say to myself, I was like, man, you spent months strategizing this. These people worked really hard to make you look like this. You're spending a lot of money, of your own money on this, like, get it together, get over it. And I had a great group of friends and creatives around me, and I got very comfortable quickly. But then it came time for the drag name. I was like, what am I going to call myself? And I was like, you know what, this is about the guitar. This isn't for me doing it for kicks, I'm not a drag queen. This is about the Nova. And I was driving to the gym one day, and I was like, oh, I got it. And I called my friend Kyle. We puns back and forth. That's just our dynamic. And I was just like, dude, I got it. And he's like, what? No vagina. And I never heard him laugh that hard ever in my life. In the second that I heard myself say it, I heard him laughing, I was like, this is great. Now, this is the thing that upsets me. Do you know to this day people don't get that pun? What? People don't get that pun. I had to explain it to like 4 of my friends. I was like, no vagina. I'm a man. I have no vagina. Nova, the guitar. Like, I have to hold your hand through this? Come on. You know, I was so upset. But but as we see, you know, like not all Americans are intelligent. So what are you gonna do?
No comment, but I do want to say to the listeners listening right now that I was holding my mouth shut, trying not to giggle, listening to Angel explaining that. And all I can see in my mind's eye is the Instagram posts that Angel has posted with him dressed in drag and totally owning it and killing it in every sense, and the puns. And I'm like, could I love this guy anymore? It's just I'm a massive pun fan, and it just more. And I even thought like it was really interesting to learn that, because I thought that maybe Nova Gina came before Nova, and I thought, well, how far back has he gone? And to learn that it's actually the opposite way, and it just fitted. You know, that's really fun.
Yeah, because the guitar
that's
had been,
when you know it's meant to be.
Yeah, the guitar had been out for a year at that point anyway, so it wasn't until like the black guitar came out. And I have to say something else, you know, there's obviously, you know, it's quite a controversial thing to do these days, especially like poking fun at, you know, trans stuff and whatever. When I posted on Instagram, Hannah God, there was not one negative comment, not one. And that's the demographic of Instagram, you know. But then I actually did a documentary. I don't know if you've seen it, but if you haven't, it's a great watch, man. It shows the entire process of me making the jacket, making the boots, on shoot day, getting into drag. You see the whole process. It's called Becoming Nova. It's on YouTube. And the YouTube demographic...
I did see it.
Yeah. It's a little bit different, you know, on YouTube. And obviously, you know, there's all sorts of trolls and stuff like that. So... but, you know, it's just like, I just don't care. You know, this is part of my artistic legacy, and I think it's important to honor that because, you know, people need to feel included too, you know, and also people need to be educated about what's, you know, because a lot of people have preconceived notions about certain things, and they figured, again, a gay man must be really in tune with his femininity, and bitch, you thought, you know? So, but it was fun overall. I'm glad I did it.
I'm glad you did. It made my day, and I'm still thinking about it now. It's just funny, and that, but funny on so many simple levels. But you know, I love stuff where the thought really goes into it. Like when you watch a movie and there's those minute details that you may not see the first time, and you think, oh my God, the level of thought that's gone into that is still pleasing me, you know, years later.
It's just like Nine Inch Nails. It's like Nine Inch Nails, Bjork, and Tori Amos. Like those are my three, like, be still my heart, like, artists, for so many reasons, musically, visually, you know, the things, the concepts that they think about. It's, you know, Michael Jackson obviously is another one. So like visually, those are my influences combined, you know, whereas like my musical influences are musical influences, but visually, you know, because I'm very visual, you know, my videos and stuff like that, they're very important to my brand and important to me. So that's kind of where I feel like I just appreciate artists who just don't just rub one out, you know, and they just burst out an album. You know, I want you to take your time. I want you to put thought into it. I want to feel that you give a fuck about what you're doing and what you're saying. And that's why I went through the lengths that I did for my last record. Jesus Christ, that was a beautiful hell.
The first time I choose my words here, the first time I came across you was in Germany in the office for Thomann, and a friend of mine and a colleague, Guillaume, said, I've got you an interview with Angel Vivaldi. And I have to be honest, has Dan left us now?
No.
Maybe he's
still here. I see him.
Okay, well, I've got full screen Angel right
baby. Now. Ooh, I'm gonna make, there you go. Yeah, relish in this image, baby. Woo. You see my sweat stains?
I'm sorry.
I talk about my
areas,
and I drop my lab mic again. God, you guys are making me so wet. It's horrible. Stop it. Continue. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to be rude.
So I go to the office, and Guillaume. No. I'm here for the fist. Guillaume said, "I've got an interview with Angel Vivaldi for you," and 100% honesty, I didn't know the name. You know, I'm not an expert on everything. Just most things. And he said, "Come here." I said, "Okay." And I went up to the computer, and I was like, "Okay, well, show me the video you mean." And of course. You came up with Nita Strauss.
Oh boy.
On Serotonin, and I was like, okay. And there was the dance routine, and So I kind of discover you dancing with Nita Strauss, and knowing Nita and having met Nita a few times, like, okay, so where's the connection? And okay, the guy can play, the guy can dance, and the guy looks good. Why have I not heard of you before? And then, of course, I went down the Angel Vivaldi rabbit hole, and and then we eventually got to dance together.
Yes, we did.
And we've referred to that a few times in this podcast. If you haven't seen it, dear listeners, then you can go to YouTube and search for Angel Vivaldi with Tolman, and probably Angel Vivaldi plus worst dancer ever.
We had so much fun, man. It was such a great interview.
And I just wanted to talk to you about like musicians working together. You've worked with Yvette from Yvette Young and also Nita.
Mm-hmm.
Is it really such a close-knit community as it appears to be?
I mean, for me, yeah, because I'm not gonna. I don't follow musical politics at all. Musical politics can suck my dick. I don't give a shit about that. I only collaborate with people who I genuinely connect with in some regard or another. So, a little bit of backstory as to how the Nita thing happened. So the record was called Synapse, and it was 9 songs after 9 neurotransmitters: dopamine, serotonin, adrenaline, adenosine, and so on. And I didn't just choose a name for a name. You know, it was very strategized. So like Nita and serotonin made sense. If you've ever seen her live, she's just confidence, uplifting energy. You know. And then I also had Gus G on there, and I had him play on the song Oxytocin. Now, oxytocin is the bonding molecule, and we did a tour together in 2016 in the States. And when you're living together for a month, you know, and you really bond with people. And, but also the song, of the stylistic song of Serotonin really fit her style, with Nita. Whereas Oxytocin really fit Gus's style, like, beautifully. And last but certainly not least was Ollie Herbert, which was a very, very close friend of mine who unfortunately passed away recently. And his guest solo was really very catered to him. Very catered to him. The riff, because All That Remains was a huge influence on me, like in 2009 when I did the Speed of Dark release, and it's very apparent. And truth be told, he gave me a solo, and how do you tell one of your guitar heroes, oh, I'm not feeling this, but I did, because listen, it's like porn. Once an album's out there, it's forever. And I can't do that to a friend I care about just to appease them. So I was like, I'm not sure, and he goes, well, why don't I come to your studio? We could write it together. And I was like, really? Okay, but we have been close friends for years. I was just like surprised that he would want to do that. Fine. So we spent an entire weekend writing his solo, and it was, I just get goosebumps thinking about it. It was absolutely magical, man. It was magical. So throughout the whole process, I filmed the entire process because there was a lot of concepts that I did with method writing, which is what I'm calling it. And, and the thing is, I hate getting a guest solo from someone that's not going to fit my melodic style, because then it's not sincere, Mm-hmm. But I made sure to, hold on, let me put my phone on mute. But long story short, with Ollie, it was very catered to his style. So it's fun for them to write it, because it's easy for them to write. I don't want someone to struggle through something. And yeah, it's just, I think that it was very fitting. So it really flowed well, and it made sense conceptually.
Yeah, it's a great release, awesome. And I've had to fit in many years of your music into a few months. It's been fun.
I'm so sorry.
I just wonder, Angel, when you don't experiment a lot with pedals, where do you get
Mm-hmm.
like your musical inspiration from in terms of how to shape your tones? Because you're such a genre hopper. You go from those kind of crushing, brutal tones and the sweeping kind of scenes, and then you go into more mellow stuff. Mm-hmm. Like how do you find like the right tone that fits the right occasion?
I'm old school, man. I roll off my volume knob like a man. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I love that 70s attitude of just rolling. I mean, because again, it's like I like the overall filter of the picture of my tone, but sometimes I want to desaturate it just a little bit, you know? So like there's little parameters. So like, and I'll honestly use the tone knob as well, just to kind of mute it a little bit more depending on what I'm doing. So like for a Sea of Heartbreak, you know, and the other thing is the pickup combination, you know, I'll put it on 2 or 4 and roll off the volume knob and roll off the tone just a little bit just to get the edge off, you know? I describe the tone knob like Xanax. It's Xanax for your tone. If you really want to sound like Muffy and just blah, 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 roll your tone knob all the way down. It's going to take all the edge off, man, you know? But that I'm a very organic player in that respect, you know? But when it comes to the rhythms, obviously it's quite different. On my last record, it's quite a genre hopper, obviously, because there's neurotransmitters that I wanted to be very sincere about. For the rhythms, I used a Bogner Ecstasy for the heavy stuff, the Mark V for some more hard rock stuff. There's a Soldano here and there. I used a JP2C on the rhythms for something else. You'd be proud of me. I used an overdrive in front of it. I can't remember what song it was, but it was actually, it's funny. So we did all these different amps and stuff like that. Now producers nowadays are not used to that. The whole old school experience of experimenting and stuff like that is gone, dude. It's fucking gone. Because once a producer has his template and his workflow, he doesn't want to fucking EQ different amps and stuff like that. Because it's very in and out, in and out, in and out, in and out, you know, kind of like my last Thursday night. You know, 4 months ago when I was able to get laid. I digress. So, you know, it was a little...
I held it in. Sorry.
I held it in too, man. I have the stamina of a bull. You know, they get theirs first, you know. God, Lord help me. See, I lost my train of thought. Oh, look at that. Blue skies after a thunderstorm. Lovely. So in any case, it was a little bit of extra work for the producer because he had to, you know, fit the mix in. And the guitar tone really defines the genre that you're doing. It really does. So I put a lot of thought into that stuff as well. And in the studio, it's a different experience. But live, you know, I just, you know, I do what I do. I keep it consistent in that respect. Just volume knob, baby. Woo.
Do you use a treble bleed mod so you get like all the sweet tones? It's not too muffled.
Mm-hmm. The funny thing is, my finger tone. The one thing that it doesn't have like a sharp, piercing kind of like dime bag kind of thing, which is fatiguing to the ear, in my opinion. You know, so all the EQ that I do, it's really so obviously the boogie that I'm using, you have 2 stages of EQ. You know, you have your bass, mid, and treble, but you also have your sliders, and that's like the classic, you know, Mesa Boogie legendary balance of the 5-band EQ. And you know, I don't like that piercing tone, especially you think I'm playing an hour's worth of, you know, that kind of music every night. It's fatiguing, it's exhausting. So I want that warm. You know, I've been described. I don't know. I started to say this, but people describe my tone as like the metal Andy McKee. Andy Timmons. Sorry, not Andy McKee. You know, like that warm, thick kind of like, you know what I'm saying? Like you can hear the analog in his tone. I do the same thing with just a little bit more gain. You know, roll off those highs quite a bit. It's kind of like an obtuse V, you know, like the EQ is very tight together, just so I still have my mids where I need them, but the highs are, you know, pretty rolled off. Because if you're playing in this register again really high up, it's just like, oh, shut the fuck up already, Jesus, too much.
I have a burning question or series of questions. That you're an independent artist, you have no label. You are a Charvel artist. You're releasing albums. You're doing things that successful musicians do. You mentioned that you were homeless for 2 years, and I want to know, because I've also been in a similar situation, and how does one go from being there in their life to being where you are right now? Like, what was the point where things changed for you?
Well, I guess my trajectory was a little bit unique, you know, because I've been at this instrumental game for 16 years, 17 years now. So for me, it's been very gradual. And it's been so gradual. Like there's really hard to pinpoint a moment where it changed. Like a good example of like I guess the opposite of that would be like a band like Polyphia. Like they just blew up kind of like out of nowhere, and thank God for it. Honestly, I think it's wonderful. But everyone has their own method of success. Like look at Meshuggah. It took them God knows how many years to get to where they're at now. And so for me, it's been kind of similar in that respect, So I put out my first. So I've been around since 2004, and for the time that I was homeless, it was kind of the reason why was I was working a job, and I was trying to go to school, but that didn't work because I'm a horrible student. So what it was for me was I'd rather take the money that I was earning in my job and put it towards my record than to actually have a place that I can call my own. So I did that. And the first record did well, in the MySpace days, considering. And, then the next record, I wound up joining a band called 40 Below Summer, who were pretty, new metal, like, well known for doing that kind of stuff. And then, that kind of helped me elevate a little bit more. Then I put out a next record, which, it's like every record trampolined me into a different tier, because it's a whole album cycle's worth of artistic media. I hate the word content. It makes me fucking cringe. I feel like I want to bathe with bleach with content. Suck my ass. It's fucking art. So there was and also again like the feel of a concept record or a record in general. Like Downward Spiral had a feel to it. Boys for Pele had a feel to it. So every record, I started learning more and more and more about what my strengths are and what I feel like I'm really good at and what I'm not good at. I guess it was just like starting at a different time, because I feel like there was generations of, I'll use the word shredders because whatever, I know it has a stigma, but I don't really care. I have the first round of shredders like Satriani, Vi, Malmsteen, those guys. Then after that was like the first wave of internet guitars, which was like, Rusty Cooley, myself, Rob Balducci, Mike Martin. And, then from there it was kind of like, the Animals as Leaders, Pliny, myself, thank by the graces of God, Polyphia and such. And, now there's like a whole other subgenre or sub rather a new generation of guitarists that is like the Instagram guitarists who are taking what, and each generation takes what we took what Steve Vai and Satriani were doing, we upped it, and kids nowadays are taking what we're doing and upping that. They're getting so creative. It's just and it's inspiring us because we're still young enough to be like, ooh, we could learn something from this. As long as you don't let your ego get in the way of learning something, you can learn a lot. So I think it's also very important to stay relevant as well. But for me, when I released the album Universal Language, what was an EP, it was the first time I really did like big time music videos that I always wanted to do because I had a budget to do it. And it blew up. It took a year for that album to blow up, but it wasn't until I released a video for the song A Mercurian Summer and A Martian Winter that things just really started to take off. And then, from there, I released another EP called The Way With Words Part 1. It's like an elevating, it's just constant elevation, it's like the slow turtle wins the race. And I'm grateful for that, because for me, I want longevity in this, I don't want to be pop music because pop music, the whole definition of pop music is you're here, then you're gone. Mm-hmm. There's no ceiling for me. I don't subscribe to that for myself at all, but so it's kind of hard to pinpoint. I think like the initial thing that kind of got me a little bit of notoriety was the 7string.org forums, if you remember those back in the day. The owner, Chris Quigley, he vouched for me. He posted, he's like, dude, there's this guy on MySpace. You guys got to check him out. And, when a well-respected person vouches for you, man, it's kind of like with Steve Vai and Pliny. He talked about Pliny, he posted about Pliny, and overnight, dude, this kid just blew up because you have the godfather of shred vouching for someone new, so it says a lot. So that was the first thing. Then the second thing was I did a playthrough of a song called Acid Rain in 2009. That helped. Then Ibanez used me to announce their Ibanez Premium series, and I used a pre-production of A Martian Winter. That helped. So like there's all these little things that kind of eventually did, kind of help me to get where I'm at now. Then I was actually in a band with Tommy Vexed called Vexed. Now he's in Bad Wolves, of course. We released an album called Impermanence in 2012, I believe. Great record, it's very well done, I think, on all our parts. And yeah, just keep on keeping on. I know the grooves and the key that unlocks certain doors for myself visually and melodically and musically, and yeah, it's an amazing ride. I never thought in a million years. I don't think anyone. I mean, to an extent. I feel like what your destiny is, but then when it actually starts to happen, you're just like, really, It's nuts, man. It's crazy. I'm so insanely grateful, man. I'm so grateful to be like healthy and and just be doing this and to have met so many beautiful people too. Like again, like Yvette and Nita and Andy James and it's such a blessing, man. For real, such a blessing.
It's one of the things that when I met you, I realized that not only were you this big personality, you were also very, very humble in the sense that you knew how lucky you are, and lucky in the sense that the harder you work, the luckier you get. So,
absolutely.
And I think the one thing that unites us all as guitar players is that when I have a guitar, I feel happy. And I think no matter anyone, like I posted on Instagram recently, just the statement "guitar is ... just to see what people would write, and everything was positive. Like guitar is my lifeline, guitar is my my island that I live alone. Or some were quite poetic, but everyone was positive because I spend a lot of time on YouTube. It can be quite a negative place.
Yeah.
And it's really funny how Instagram and YouTube are totally different, as you mentioned earlier, as to what kind of mood those two social medias are. And yeah, it's very fun to. I just want to grab some people by the neck and say, "Guitar's awesome."
Yeah.
Just enjoy that. It doesn't matter what pedal you use. It doesn't matter what guitar you use or what you're playing or how good you are. Just feel how lucky you are that you're in a situation where you can actually hold a guitar, or if you're as lucky as me, then more than one guitar.
Absolutely. And think about the all the little aspects, because like I'm quite a deep thinker. So think about being born in a particular year that put you to an adulthood that is the mecca of guitar building. You have all these amazing, unique guitars that are available to people. You have YouTube as a resource, which we didn't have growing up. I had to learn my shit. I had to raw dog. That to train my damn ear. 17 versions of Smell Like Teen Spirit tabs. That's the era that we come from, and there's so many things that you have to think about, the timing of how incredibly lucky we all are, truly. We're in an age where like I'm not on a label. I play progressive instrumental guitar music and I make a living doing it, and I'm comfortable. I don't want for anything. Like, what are the fucking chances of that, man? And everyone has that ability. The internet leveled the playing field. You didn't have to live in LA. You don't have to live in New York City. You are where people are, and what a gift. What an insane gift. And I think that people just don't really realize that. And but again, I don't necessarily judge those people either, because I don't know what their upbringings are. I don't know what kind of values they were instilled. I don't know what traumatized them to be as bitter as they are, all I can do is try to make people happy that actually appreciate what I do. And it's funny, actually, when I was 19, I had a conversation with Steve Vai once, and we talked about so I asked him, it was like this Evo experience things, and this is actually around the time that I was bouncing from house to house to house, and I decided, like, I'm going to spend the money and meet this man. And and we all went around, it was like a big thing, and it's like the first like VIP experiences that everyone has now, right, in 2006. And it might have been 2006. I don't know. I'm bad at math. And I asked him, I was like, what advice would you have for an instrumental guitar player these days? And this was, again, the MySpace days. He rambled off some bullshit, but the last thing that he said was, if people don't like instrumental music, make them like it. And I was just like, I see you. Okay. And I guess to an extent, I mean, like, obviously it's hard to make anyone like them, like anything, but, I kind of interpreted that as be unique. And what's the best way to be unique is to be yourself, The most successful people are the ones who are most self-aware. I'm very aware of what I'm good at. I'm very aware of what I'm not good at. I'm not going to let my ego take the wheel and floor the pedal to inspire me to do things that I'm not good at. I'm not going to do my own artwork. I'm going to conceptualize it and tell someone who specializes in that what I want. I'm not going to mix and master my own record. I mean, I could if I wanted to, but I'm not passionate about it. I'm only going to do the things that I want to do, because if I do that, I'm going to do them really well, and if I'm open-minded enough, I'm going to do them better as time goes on, as long as I'm learning from other people who are doing it well as well. It's like the saying of the wise man learns from his mistakes, the wiser man learns from other people's mistakes, and the wisest man learns from other people's success. So I look at people like Steve Vai, and I would look on MySpace, like how Killswitch Engage will roll out an album when they change their layout, when they change what they put in their bulletins, what they put in their blogs, and that method's cool. Then I saw how Joe Satriani would do it. Then I'll see how Nine Inch Nails would do it. Then I'll see how Perfect Circle did it, and Charvel, and all these bands. And it's just like musical influences visually. Bjork, Nine Inch Nails, Tori Amos. You interpret the influence visually, and out comes your method and what's unique to you to support whatever art you're doing.
Gonna leave a moment of silence there. That was beautiful. Dan, we started this podcast purely for the reason that to add more positivity to the guitar world. When Dan first asked me if I'd be interested in starting a podcast, and the one agenda we have is to be positive, and we just keep getting more positive people on this podcast.
Absolutely.
And we've reached really. I mean, there's been several people. I don't want to what's the word? Compare, but we're just getting more positivity, and with the light of what's going on at the moment, the music industry, it's great to hear so much positivity from an independent artist such as yourself.
Yeah, we need it, and I think that with considering the temperature of the world at the moment, it's kind of it's not that I'm saying it separates the men from the boys. I don't like that energy at all, because it's toxic competition, and I'm more about friendly competition. I want to inspire my friends to do better, and they're gonna do better at things that I'm not good at, and they're gonna push me to do it. Like Andy James in alternate picking, I'm a legato and tapper, but Andy James is a surgical alternate picker. So try touring with him for 2 months. It's gonna inspire you to get your shit together in that realm, and it did. But being that the industry is in such a dark place right now, especially all my touring friends, when they relied on tours to make an income. Now it's really you have to anchor your creativity in a different way completely. And this time, as dark as it is like the darkest cloud we've ever seen, but there's a silver lining behind there, because the sun will shine one day, and it's not going anywhere. But you have to really focus on that, and you have to figure out what you can do right now. Time like this is honestly a gift, as long as you're not stressing about trying to make a livelihood, which some people are. Some people are really, I read a post from someone recently that their business is gone. They don't know how to feed their kids. They don't know how they're going to feed their kids. And that's such a horrible thing to go through. So, of course, you're not going to be able to focus on music and stuff like that. But for those of us who have the gift, gift of platinum in our hands of having time, we have to use this. We have to use this, man. All the things that we always wanted to do, we always find excuses to do. Now we have the time to do them, in our homes, if that's a feasible thing. So, be creative. Find, really scan what you're willing to do and not willing to do, and be honest with yourself. Don't judge yourself if there's something that you feel like you can't do right now, but do judge yourself a little bit on the things that you feel like you can do. Don't let laziness and things prevent you from using this to come out with something if you can. That's not saying that you should do it every single day, because some days you want to sleep until 2 p.m. and that's fine. You have to work with yourself, and you have to work with your temperament, but don't squander this beautiful opportunity for those who are able to do something with it.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. If you want to do something, I think you probably, or you definitely find solutions, whereas if you're not really convinced, you just find excuses for not doing something.
Yeah.
And that's now the time to maybe rethink yourself, kind of relocate your mind, rethink your career, rethink like your approach to your musicality and also your business approach, because you know, being business savvy is a part of a musicianship that you should not overlook as an artist, because you got to make a living, and you got to, you know, your business has to thrive in some way that you can like further develop your musicianship, and that you can create a fan base. And we've been talking about that, like finding, it doesn't have to be like an enormous amount of people that are completely behind you. If it's like 1,000 people that love you, that will be the foundation for your career, and then it grows from there. So
Absolutely.
So I totally like the approach and the thought that you put into that. And we all know, Andy knows, and I know, and we have a lot of artists and friends that are struggling big time, not just in the States but also in Europe too. And they struggle to make a living, but like you said, there will be some silver lining ultimately, and we'll see what those people will take from there, if they have made up their mind, if they have maybe discovered new solutions, how they can make a living, how they can inspire people, how they can teach people on new channels, and even to a degree where ordinary like business life, you know, I'm a desk jockey. I call myself a desk jockey because I work for Ibanez Guitars, and I'm, you know, on my desk all day.
Yeah.
So, and then my boss, for example, never really liked the thought of having his whole team working remotely, but now they have to.
They have no choice.
And it's working. And it's working well, and it's a totally new approach and a totally different mindset, and that holds true for the music industry and the guitar industry in particular too. So
of course, this is changing the shape of how we all think of what life is. It really is.
Absolutely.
You know, once this is all over, you want to talk about being grateful to go outside and sit in a restaurant, you know, hugging my best friend, you know, playing with my fucking band, you know, who are all 20 minutes away from me, who I can't see right now. They've been with me for, you know, 12 years average, every single member. I've had the same band members for a number of years, and as long as I can help it, they will always be my band members. And you know, you want to talk about a perspective of being grateful. It's not going to be instilled in everyone, obviously, you know, but for those of us who know, again, what a gift it is to have had all the things that we did prior. You know, it just, my God, the first time I'm going to cry when I first step on stage again in 2022. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm going to bawl my fucking eyes out. And everyone else is going to cry too. It's just because we don't realize the things that we take for granted, because we're in an age where this is impressive. We are literally living a horror movie to the T. The officials who ignored it, the scientists who said that it was going to happen. And it's like, we're just waiting for like the hero. Okay, where's the person that's going to help us, you know? But the problem is there isn't going to be one person. We are the heroes individually, and we all have to do our parts for it in order to get to the place where we can actually live like, you know, like we did previously, but with a little bit more insight into being grateful for the opportunity, you know? But yeah, you know, I'm just glad that, honestly, I mean, you know, a lot of my friends, obviously, like you said yourselves, with the touring, oh my God, it's horrible. But, you know, I'm just glad I never built my career on touring alone, man. You know, it's just that I would be in pretty deep shit if I did. You know? So, it's crazy.
Now, with all the artists offering online lessons, are you a guy who's like looking for other artists and you know, takes lessons from them if you want to like get something from their playing style, or I don't know, just dive into their stylistical approach? Is that something that you do?
As far as I guess I like taking lessons with other artists and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the funny thing is I haven't, but so my new record it's called Away with Words Part 2. I've been working on it for a number of years. There's no 7-string on it. It's there's no metal, there's no double kick. It's literally a yin and yang to part 1, which is part 1 was a very normal, you know, Angel Vivaldi progressive metal with a couple genre bending. But this is like, you know, if I could describe it, it's Al Di Meola meets Snarky Puppy meets Prince meets Maroon 5 meets Alcest. That's literally what this record is. So with that, you know, being said, it's I'm getting a little bit of insight. So Jack Gardner, I'm sure you know Jack Gardner. Do you know Jack Gardner? If not, you should. And all you listeners, you have to check him out because he is he's a superb musician, very good friend of mine. And you know, I've been working on him on 2 tracks just to give me different voicings, different things that I'm not looking, you know, that I'm overlooking So I never took a lesson in my life, but I guess in a respect, like he's kind of like helping me produce a couple tracks. So maybe that might fall underneath the same category. But it's been really insightful for sure.
So are you giving lessons to other students at the
Oh
moment?
yeah, I am. I don't really publicize it too much because so I do two things. So I do give lessons, which I love. I love teaching; it's fun. But what I love doing more than that is I do music consultations. So like for artists who want insight into the business, because that's one thing that I don't feel like is really offered. Everything from like how to brand yourself, how to market yourself, how to do content for different platforms, how to do your taxes, like I'm very candid, like this is exactly how much I make. I'll hold my phone up, I'll show them, budgets and stuff like that, because I think it's important for people to understand what a person like me is, what to expect. It's something I wish I had growing up. I feel like it'll be really helpful. Um, you know, but um, but yeah, it's I've been doing mostly that, because again, guitar lessons you can get anywhere from anyone. You can go on YouTube and get free guitar lessons, but to get business advice from someone who's actually doing it is very rare. So that's the one thing I've been really focused in doing. But I do both, yeah.
Awesome. Awesome.
That's great. That's very, very cool to do the business advice. That's you should be marketing some kind of online course on Udemy. $10 and you sell, I don't know, 100,000, and then you can just retire.
Yeah.
How to make $1 million in the music business?
Oh my,
Buy my
yeah,
course.
there you go, exactly, man. Oh my God, I'm missing a landmine. But the funny thing is, I've been doing, especially now, Lord have mercy. The good thing about all this is like all of my friends who do Skype lessons are killing it right now. Everyone's jumping on them, which is good because it shows that people are taking the initiative to take the time. I'm sorry, getting a call there. To take advantage of the time that they have. So yeah, recently the consultations have been out of control. So it's great, because the more I do them, it's like anything else. The more that I do them, the better I get at it. The better I become an asset unto myself, and the better I become an asset to other artists, Just like you're flexing your business muscles over and over and over again, And I've been doing so many, like I feel I look like I'm on roids. I'm just like steroided out with like business knowledge, Because everyone's situation is different too, So I wound up learning a lot from other artists who are doing things a little bit differently, and and also again, like right now, to show you how versatile it's been. So right now I'm actually doing consulting for a beauty salon, and I'm building their website, been helping them with branding. I've done 2 fitness apparel companies. I'm working with a personal trainer, and the weirdest one, there's a company called KEP, which is an engineering company. So if you know the little dials, the counters, like in turnstiles and stuff, 1, 2, 3, right? They designed that in 1967. They also designed fuse boxes for apartment complexes, like the gray boxes, right? They designed that. They have, this is a huge multi-billion-dollar company. And these genius engineers came up with this way to create heating and cooling zoning without having to repipe an entire building, which is brilliant. Is actually being tested right now in one of the skyscrapers in New York City. So this is a whole green initiative that, and them, I guess, I don't know how, but they found out that I'm a big environmentalist and that I was doing this, and I met with them. Because these are nerds. They don't know how to dress or how to brand themselves. They just know how to change people's lives. No big deal. And and they needed help on branding that, And, we've been doing this project for a while. I think, I don't know about now with Corona, but we were originally planning to release everything in November. And they want me to like brand and consult and be that spokesperson on, this eco-friendly way to like change. It just blew me away. So it's the business side of the consulting has gotten beautifully out of control, and I'm just so blessed.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Great.
Gonna be the next
It's something, I don't know. Except I'm not going to be like, clap my hand. Every time someone's died, stop clapping.
I have a question for that consultant
Yeah.
in you. What's the biggest mistake an independent artist can make? Like, what's the first thing that comes
Oh,
to mind?
very easy. I mean, the biggest mistake I think people make is, oh man, this is such a loaded question. I felt like I had an answer to it, but I have so many answers that we'll be here for like 3 more hours. So I think the biggest thing is honestly not knowing what you're good at and not knowing what you're not good at, and being okay with that. Because I feel like, as we're growing up, we're seeing how this person is making their success and this person is making their success, and they all influence us in different ways. So, I'll look at, let's say, for instance, I look at their YouTube channel. I'll see videos of them trying to do reviews and then trying to do the viral thing, the gimmicky thing. Then they try to put out a record. Then they try to do, reacts videos. And I'm like, what are you doing? You're literally, there's a term called confusion in the marketplace. Like, no one has no idea what the fuck you're trying to do or what you're trying to say, But it's a matter of, like, as gay as this is, in like a tacky way, it is a matter of a key to success. And what I mean by that is a key has grooves, okay? And every single one of those grooves is a different facet of your strengths and weaknesses. So, like, if I use myself as an example, so, the groove that I made to, like, songwrite, okay, that's this very specific groove that I carved out. And that groove, if you zoom into it, that had a lot of time, money, and effort. It took time to, shape my technique and learn how to write a song, and it took effort to do that as well. And it took money because guitars aren't free, which means that you also have to work a day job so, you can afford these things, which also has to do with time management. So all those little aspects make that groove what it is. Then the other aspect really is a matter of, like, visually, like, what's visually setting you apart. It's a fucking thumbnail, guys. It's a thumbnail that's going to make someone click on what you do. Frank Zappa said it was like 50% in the eyes and 50% in the ears, but now people are listening with their eyes. It's just how it is. And the thing that keeps them there is really the music, and how everything is. That's what captivates them to go on Instagram and to follow you, which is expensive when you think about it. Not monetarily, but it takes a lot for someone to give a shit enough about what you're doing to follow your career, okay? That follow has value, okay? So that's one groove. And then it's the personality is another groove. Then, it's like all these different things. And all those grooves, like, what's happening is you put it in a key and you try to turn it. And sometimes it'll, all right, they're trying the gimmicky Jared Dines, kind of route. All right, that door's not opening up for me. All right, so I have to take it out and re-groove my key and try in another slot and see if this door opens for me. All right, this door opened, but then there's a series of doors throughout the entirety of your career, and you have to constantly reinvent yourself and reshape yourself based on the template of what you established first, right? So you're constantly going and constantly going and constantly going, and eventually, no matter how big you are, like Madonna right now, homegirl she's trying to open up doors and they're not opening up for her. They're not. She's opened, like, it's kind of over, and that could be very troublesome to some artists. Whereas, like, bitch, for me, I am so self-aware. Like, I'll start with a brand new blank key and I'll regroove the entire thing myself if I have to from scratch, because I know myself. I know that I have the passion and the drive in order to do it. I don't care if I'm 56. I don't give a shit. That key is getting grooved out, But it is a matter of trial and error. You're trying this, you're trying that, you're trying this, you're trying that. And, there's a matter of once you find your groove, pun intended, you have to really start to figure out, all right, how can I amplify this? How can I really relish? How can I milk it for everything it's got, right? Mm-hmm. And once you get to that point, you have to do damage control. You have to archive all those posts so that people understand what it is that you're trying to say, Like, for me, high production music videos, conceptual albums, art, the wardrobe, the lot, like my personality, how I am, These are all little aspects of my key that works for me, but they may not work for someone else. So the biggest thing is know your strengths, know your weaknesses, figure out what you're willing to do, what you're not willing to do. Like, again, like, I'll do videos, I'll do wardrobe, but mixing and mastering, not my thing, So just that's the biggest piece of advice that I would give to someone.
Well, I'm buying the Udemy course. I don't even want a discount. That's how much I'm in.
Thank you.
I'm paying full price.
Well, thank
Vivaldi
you.
Business Academy. I can totally see the letters. The Vivaldi Business Academy. So,
I don't want to cheapen what you said because that was some really great
Yeah.
advice. It's but of course it's my job to react to things.
But see,
Actually,
here's the
what-
thing: certain people, like their whole thing is react. Like Jared Dines is so great at it. You know what I'm saying? Like his personality is what's engaging. You know, but you have to be okay with. You know, because the one thing that I find that YouTubers struggle with in particular, because I'm friends with a lot of these people, you know, I'm not like a part of this clique or that clique. Like, I sit with everyone, especially at NAMM, you know, I fuck with the YouTubers, I fuck with the instrumental shredders, I fuck with the metal bands, I don't care, I just love people. But the one thing I find YouTubers struggling with is they get so well known for doing one thing that they try to do original music and no one gives a fuck. You know what I'm saying? And you have to find a balance of not putting too much stock in the fact that, you know, just be grateful that you're good at something. You know what I'm saying? Because some people spend their lives trying to figure out what the strength is and they never find it. You know, it's a gift. It is such a privilege to know why you're here, because certain people wake up every day and they go to a job 9 to 5 and they have no idea. They don't have a passion. They don't have a hobby. They don't have anything in life. And that has to be so scary. It has to be so scary. Some people are okay with that, and I think that's wonderful. God bless you, you know? Your life must be pretty stress-free, you know? But for those who realize, you know, maybe that they're squandering their life and they don't know what their path is, you know, I could see how they can envy someone like, you know, like us in our positions where we do know what we love to do, and we are doing it. So it is quite a gift.
You said earlier that you want to learn from the successful guys, but there's also like it's also a solution to learn from your mistakes and others' mistakes. Like if you at hindsight look at one of the major mistakes that you made business wise, what would you tell a younger Angel like 10 years ago? Don't make that mistake. Is there anything in particular that you would point out that was not like the best choice at that certain time?
Yeah, it's a fantastic question. I think for me early on, it's just minding your ego a little bit better, you know, in a sense of relating to other people. I think obviously ultimately it served me, obviously, because I feel like there's little things that lead you up to where you're at. But I feel like, you know, when you're young and you have the ability, you know, to do what you do, whether it be like, you know, wield an instrument in a certain way or to have a vision, you know, because some artists, they'll write magnum opuses, but they have no idea what the visuals to attach to it, you know? And that's okay, you know, because there's higher people that do have the visual because that's their job, that's what they're good at. And just because another artist that you subscribe to doesn't mean that you have to do that too on yourself. Everyone's unique. But I think it's just that, you know, just being a little bit, not being so, because I think the other thing too is like, because I was brought up in a house full of Marines, you know, it's just my temperament, I'm just very...
Can I ask, was that your family or did you just happen to live with a group of Marines?
Well, I mean, you know, talk about my weekends pre-COVID. No, I'm kidding.
Sorry, I needed to know.
No, we love a man in a uniform. No, but my dad was a Marine and my brother's a Marine as well. So again, you know, like that kind of, you know, it's not even like they weren't nearly as strict or anything, but I took what that lifestyle was and I just amplified it for myself, you know? But it is a certain amount of discipline, like militant discipline, and I feel like, you know, that could have come off a little bit harsh for certain people. And I think that would have been the one thing I feel like I may have, you know, stepped out of my lines a little bit. But, you know, ultimately it did serve me, and now, obviously, I'm much more I have a lot of tact in how I approach certain situations, because I realize this, and this is the most important thing about relating to people, and it's when you're talking to a certain person and you want them to, and you know better about a certain aspect of whatever it is, the topic, and you want them to really take your advice, you have to approach that with a tact that's receptible, like that's going to be received well to that person's style of learning. You know, some people are visual learners. Some people are, you know, they want to do the formulas of G, A, B, C, D, E and intervals and sixths and ninths and whatever. Some people just want to learn the numbers 5, 6, 7, 7, 8, 9, whatever on frets. So you have to really be aware of how another person learns and receives information, and you have to cater it to how they learn. Otherwise, some people like the harsh criticism. Some people need to be, you know, they need to be prefaced with a positive, and that's I try to kill it with kindness. I always start critiques off with positive things, and then from there, you have to constructively provide information, especially with consultations, because these are people who respect you, and you want them to take your advice because you've been there and and you don't want them to struggle like you did, And for that reason alone, you have to have tact. Like I don't like the word brutal honesty, because people who are like, "Oh, I'm brutally honest," think about how they say that. They say brutally honest with pride. They don't like the honesty. They like the brutality. That's all that they like, And I think that's such a dick thing to do, Don't pride yourself on being brutal. Pride yourself on being a good person, who's honest and actually has self-awareness and awareness of a relationship on how other people, again, receive information, to benefit that person. Because if you're brutally honest like that, you don't want them to succeed. You just want them to hurt. And that's not how I roll,
Dan, we've done it again.
Yep.
It's
2 hours. Oh my God.
2-hour epic podcast.
Goodness gracious.
We learned so much.
But I
We
will
learned
say
so
that
much, and there are so many.
we have not wasted a single second. It's
Can I ask you a question? Only because I don't listen to podcasts. Like, what's the average listener? Like, how long are podcasts typically? Like an hour?
Can be
for me, the ones I listen to between 45 minutes and an hour.
Oh my God. Maybe we should split this. Because this is...
I thought that last week, and the thing is, I don't see any point in this podcast where I wanted to stop, and I don't want to do it now. I'm just doing that thing where I think we should probably stop around now. And we invite you back for a part 2,
of course,
which may actually be a part 3 and 4. But yeah, so 2 hours is a lot of anybody's time, but people have time currently.
Yeah.
And I believe that with if someone's going to invest their impulse to click on whatever they click on to listen to this podcast, once they've clicked it, I believe that whoever's listening to this right now has not clicked away.
Well, I hope so.
No, it's been a journey, hasn't it? It's been wonderful. I love doing this, and I just wish that I got paid.
Well, in due time, man. Because I feel like it really is a matter of like the personality of obviously the host, but it's the personalities you actually bring in. That again, like that blue and that yellow, and Dan, your red fits beautifully in what we're doing, man. It's like it's a beautiful. Because like I feel like Dan's like our anchor of just like asking questions instead of just letting me fucking ramble, So it's just like we all complement each other pretty beautifully, and I'm very grateful for that.
Yeah. Well, we definitely got to do
So that's
a second part.
A warm brown.
Warm brown, I love that. Yeah, at least he's warm,
I have one. I'm going to allow myself one question, final question, if I may.
Sure.
Is it ever likely that we would see Nova on stage? Nova, your Miss Vagina. Miss Vagina.
So I gotten that question a couple times. The funny thing is, I gotten that question a bit. I don't know if I'm comfortable enough to do that. I feel like if there was a demand for it, I might. But it's just, I think I still have to do some work internally on being comfortable enough, because it's just, I think I think the thing that I learned from that she taught me really was that I have an issue internally with how I relate to that. And I'm getting better with it, but I think I need more opportunities to do it in order to learn more from her, so I need to get into her again, and then again, and then again, and slowly she's just going to chip away at this toxic view that I have with femininity. But honestly, she was so well received. I have I know what the tour name is going to be. I know who I'm going to have on the tour. I know exactly how I'm going to go about it. I know everything's done. Everything's done. It's just a matter of me being okay enough to do it. You want to hear the tour name? The tour name's cool.
Really
It's called Hell on High Heels. That's what I'm gonna name the tour. Yeah, and yeah, I talked to the makeup artist who did my face, and he's like, I would leave my job right now to go on tour with you to do this. And it's just like what a gift, like someone would do that for something that they believe in me that much. And obviously my band, they're my brothers. They would go through hell and back. We all would for each other. And but yeah. I mean, I put a lot of thought into that already. I know everything. It's just a matter of the internal work that I have to do. And honestly, listen, flat out, it's scary. It's scary. I'm in Trump land, and my fans overall are genuinely good people because, I know them. I see the comments. I respond to everyone. I go to people's profiles because it's important from a business aspect to know the temperaments of the people that you're listening to your stuff. And they're all intelligent. They're very inquisitive. They're very supportive. Again, not one bad comment on that post, which says a lot. But, and I said this in things before, when you announce a tour, someone knows where you're at every single day for a month. And I'm in a country where mentally ill people can get guns very easily, and I'm not in a position to afford anything. I've had situations with obsessed fans to the point where I was getting fitted for a vest to go on my tour with Gus G in 2016. And, it's a big risk. It's a very big risk. But I don't give a shit. I think one day I might do it. So we'll see.
I don't want to make a circus act of the things you've created, but I do know that when you do it, let's say when, I will feel a lot of love for
I
you
love it
because of the position you've managed to grow as well. I also enjoying that you're not perfect. That's made me very happy to learn that you need to grow a little bit.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And not just in that respect, in many respects. So for sure, just got to be honest with yourself.
Well, I'm confident Angel will keep us posted about the endeavors. Maybe in the next episode when we have him for a second time and can dive in a little bit deeper into the whole business aspects and maybe have a look at what happened during those crazy days and how the whole situation in the MI has developed and maybe changed too. So
absolutely,
Angel,
I would love that.
Yeah, thanks so much for your time. More than 2 hours already, and so many great thoughts, and that was pretty deep. I think it was like a ride, like from being a little bit kinky and that flamboyant you going into that kind of more introverted, like deep thinker Angel Vivaldi, and that was totally cool to see that kind of transformation.
I appreciate that. And if anyone's still listening, I really very grateful for your time and your attention. It really does mean a lot. I don't take it for granted at all because, this is a lot. There's a lot. And thank you guys as well for thinking enough of me to have me on your podcast here. It's been an absolute pleasure. Absolute pleasure.
Yeah,
thank you. It's reciprocated.
Awesome. Love to hear that.
Well, let's call it a day. Thanks, Angel. Thanks, Andy. And take care and see you soon next week. Bye-bye, guys.
Take care, guys. Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.